What's going on, everybody? And I have some breaking news surrounding the New York Mets. The Mets had three big free agents that they had to worry about re-signing this offseason. Jacob deGrom, Edwin Diaz, and of course Brandon Nimmo. Obviously we know about what happened with Jacob deGrom. He departed in free agency. He went to Texas Rangers. 5 years, $185 million. The Mets were able to bring back Edwin Diaz on a 5-year, $102 million deal. Well, now, breaking news. The New York Mets have officially re-signed Brandon Nimmo to an 8-year, $162 million deal, keeping the homegrown center fielder, left-handed specialist, on-base machine with New York for the next 8 years. This is a tremendous signing. And I mentioned it yesterday. The New York Mets would have to go out of their way if they wanted to bring back Brandon Nimmo. They had to go out of their way and see how much Brandon Nimmo's value to this New York Mets team really meant. And they got the job done. The Yankees did the same thing with Aaron Judge. Now, Brandon Nimmo and Aaron Judge are never going to be on the same spectrum. But at the same time, the Mets, how important was Brandon Nimmo to this baseball team? And by the fact that they gave him an 8-year, $162 million deal, proves the fact that Brandon Nimmo is irreplaceable to this New York Mets squad. And now you have him locked in for the next 8 years. I'm very happy. Now, obviously, it's an overpay. It's an overpay. You're going to have to overpay to keep your own. But honestly, I'm not disappointed. Because Brandon Nimmo is the type of player on this New York Mets squad that you can ill afford to lose. Because of how important he is to this baseball team. He's the table setter. He's the energy. He's the leadoff guy. He's the on-base machine, the contact hitter, solid in center field, the clubhouse leader. This had to be done. And you have to overpay sometimes if you want to bring back your players. And you know what? The New York Mets brought back somebody that was irreplaceable. They knew. The fact that they went this long in this contract, they knew that they could not replace Brandon Nimmo in free agency, and his importance to this team was too much, and the Mets had to do what was right, and they bring back their center field for the future. And this is what I wanted. I want my homegrown players here long term. I want them here, especially if they do well in the season. I mean, Nimmo last year, he played great. He did. Nimmo actually had a really good season for the New York Mets. I can't complain. I mean, he played in 151 games. 159 hits. 16 home runs. 64 RBIs for a leadoff guy. 274 batting average. 3 stolen bases. 367 on-base percentage. That's pretty good. OPS of 800. Slugging percentage of 433, but he's not really a home run hitter. And he's only going to be 30 years old next year. And now you have him locked in for the next 8 years. The Mets had 3 key players part of this team. 3. It was Brandon Nimmo, Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil. They're their homegrown studs. And you just locked down one of them for the long term. And I have no doubt in my mind, Jeff McNeil and Pete Alonso will also be locked down. And what you just did is you just put more faith in that clubhouse. And now you look at that lineup. You put Brandon Nimmo back at the top of that lineup. He's your anchor. Starling Marte, Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, Jeff McNeil. That's a strong top 5. Now you just got to filtrate the rest of that lineup. But Brandon Nimmo was just, in my opinion, an irreplaceable player. Not because of his numbers that he's going to put up. He's not going to be, a superstar. He's not going to go out there and smash you 20, 25, 30 home runs. He's not going to go out there and he's going to drive in 100 plus RBIs consistently. But what Brandon Nimmo does that many other players in the Mets don't do is he gets on base, he has contact on the baseball all the time, he plays a solid center field, he brings an energy to this clubhouse and this fan base. He can steal bases, he's got a solid glove, and he just knows how to set the table for your big boppers behind him. I understand it's an overpay. It is an overpay. It is. But I'm not disappointed. You have to overpay to keep your players, especially your good players. Sure, the contract is probably not going to look good towards the latter end of it. But I don't care about the latter end right now. We'll deal with that when we get down the road. I care about the here and now. And right now, you just locked up one of your better players on offense. You just locked down your center fielder. You locked down your leadoff hitter, your contact hitter, your energy guy, your on-base machine. Good job. And I'm serious about that. Good job by Billy Epler. And he realized that Brandon Nimmo was irreplaceable. He realized that there was nobody out there that could replace Brandon Nimmo at the center field position and at the top of the lineup. And he realized, you know what? I'm going to have to do a little bit of an overpay to keep one of my guys. And that's exactly what he did. And now you just trot and pencil Brandon Nimmo's name right back at the top of that lineup. And now the current longest tenured Met will be here for most of, if not the rest of his career as a New York Met. That's anything that makes me smile the most is when I see homegrown players come up from the minor leagues, do well, and they get rewarded with a long-term deal, and they stick with this team for the future. There's not been a lot of players that I've watched that have been homegrown Mets that have spent their entire career with this team. Good players. David Wright was the only guy. And he unfortunately succumbed to injury. So I'm very happy to see that they rewarded Brandon Nimmo for his hard work, for his play, and for the ability he throws out there on the field. And now the 6'3", 206-pound center fielder is going to be part of the New York Mets team for the next 8 years. Like I said, it's an overpay. It is an overpay, I understand. $162 million for 8 years for Brandon Nimmo. That sounds crazy. It sounds ludicrous. And in a way, it is. But then who are you replacing Brandon Nimmo with? Is there anybody on that market right now that can do what Brandon Nimmo can do for this Mets team? No. There's nobody on that market right now that can be the on-base player that he is, that can be the contact hitter he is, that can steal bases like he can, occasionally hit some home runs, have a decent batting average, play solid defense in the outfield, and he's that type of player you can't let go because of his energy he brings to the team. And he's not an old player, too. He's just going into his prime years. And I've been watching Brandon Nimmo since he came up from the minor leagues. And I've always been a fan of this kid. And I'm just happy to see that he's going to get rewarded with a long-term deal, and he's going to be a New York frickin' Met. I'm happy about that. So I'm really happy to see Brandon Nimmo with the New York Mets. And oh, by the way, more breaking news. The New York Mets just signed David Robertson to a 1-year deal. How about that? How about that? 1-year, $10 million deal for David Robertson. You want to talk about a home run day or home run night? First, the Mets bring back their center fielder, and now you bring in a solid right-handed reliever. How the hell can I not be happy about this? This is a great night for the Mets right now. We just re-signed our center fielder, and now we bring in David Robertson for only 1 year and $10 million to help out that bullpen. That's a surefire arm that you could throw in there. I love it. I love it. Now he is up there in age. But I don't care. We need bullpen arms right now. I'm not saying David Robertson is going to be incredible. I'm not. But he's going to be a guy that's at least going to give you some type of solid play in the relief. He had a 2.89 ERA last year. So I'm not going to be going crazy. He did strike out 81 batters in 63.2 innings. So there you go. You just got breaking news while I was making a video about another breaking news. The New York Mets have signed Brandon Nimmo, or re-signed Brandon Nimmo to an 8-year, $162 million deal. And the Mets have signed right-handed relief pitcher David Robertson to a 1-year, $10 million deal. A double dose of Mets news. That's a damn good thing for the Mets tonight. So if you guys like this video, hit the like button below. Sub up if you haven't already to NYGJeffyT85 for more breaking news, updates, and chatter surrounding the New York Mets. Turn on the bell for notifications on the next video or short dropping on the channel surrounding the New York Mets. And you guys let me know in the comment section what you think about the Brandon Nimmo re-signing and the New York Mets signing David Robertson. One more time. Brandon Nimmo, the Mets re-signed Brandon Nimmo to an 8-year, $162 million deal, and they signed relief pitcher David Robertson to a 1-year, $10 million deal. Let's go frickin' Mets. Let's go Mets. Have a good rest of your night, everyone. Take it easy. Let me know in the comment section how you feel, and let's go New York Mets. All you gotta do is you're damn right you gotta believe in those boys from Queens.